All right, let's get started. The Chinese Communist Party. What is this party? What do they stand for? Probably a lot of people don't know. A good place to start, though, is with a short history followed by the objectives and actions of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. Not the Chinese people, remember that, but the party. Future videos in this series will cover other subjects such as trade, coronavirus, human rights, and other topics related to China that everyone needs to know about. From the information provided in my videos, you will be able to factually decide if the Chinese Communist Party is a friend, ally, or a foe of the United States. A simple definition of friend is someone you trust and have a bond with. An ally has a noun and a verb definition, with the noun stating it is a state formally cooperating with another for a military or other purpose. With the verb usage, means to combine or unite a resource or commodity with another for mutual benefit. And finally, a foe everybody's probably familiar with is an enemy or an opponent. In my opinion, the CCP is surely not a friend in the true sense, but they do fit somewhere between an ally or foe depending on the scenario. For example, I think militarily they are a foe, but economically they are more an ally in the verb sense where we need them and they need us. However, we need to make sure any cooperation between our countries is mutual and fair. Our relationship with China has always been to their advantage, at least until the election of Trump. President Trump is playing nice guy, but all the while bringing the CCP back to an equal footing, and it is about time that we had a strong president, in my opinion. The past presidents let China get away with anything. Okay, let's get to the core of this video. The background, goals, and objectives of the CCP. All right, let's start with a short history of the party as a reference point. As you can see, just like the United States, they have had many leaders since the establishment of the party in 1921. Then, in 1945, the party grew and strengthened amid the invasion by the Japanese, and shortly thereafter, in 1949, the party established the People's Republic of China, commonly known as the PRC. The most familiar name in this bunch, not including Xi Jinping, is Mao, I guess that's the way you say it, who took power in 1966 and is known for his establishment of the Cultural Revolution that most people probably have heard about, but maybe are not that familiar with. Part of the revolution was to shut down the nation's schools, called for a massive youth mobilization to take the current party leaders to task for their lack of revolutionary spirit. The revolution quickly took hold and escalated quickly as the students formed paramilitary groups called Red Guards and attacked and harassed members of the China's elderly and intellectual population. Some 1.5 million people were killed during the Cultural Revolution, and millions of others suffered imprisonment, seizure of property, torture, or general humiliation. The Cultural Revolution's actions impacted the entire country for many decades. Once Mao died, the Cultural Revolution was formally ended, and many of the officials were purged or rehabilitated, and a new era in 1977 called the Four Modernizations Program started with the intention to focus on industry, agriculture, science, technology, and defense. So this is just a very brief history, just so you have a perspective of how the CCP evolved into what it is today. All right, over time, many institutions have studied China and the Chinese Communist Party, and two sources I am using have summed up what they think are the pillars of the party. According to the article from the Council on Foreign Relations, the party relies on three pillars: control of personnel, propaganda, and the People's Liberation Army. Now, another research piece by Yale suggests 6 pillars, and I like this definition a little bit better. Final power, political power rests with the ruling party, control of army, armed police, and police, control of all appointments of importance with administration, state enterprises, public institutions, and the military. Ultimate control over the judicial system and security apparatus. Civil society kept within the constraints of the party state, and ultimate control over the media. Notice a common theme: control. It's control over everything, soup to nuts. We have already seen some of these themes in actions, such as the use of propaganda in recent news events when a high level CCP member stated that our military caused the coronavirus. Yeah, right. What a joke. We have also seen our media thrown out of China, most likely because they don't want the world to know the truth about the coronavirus or impacts in China. Control, control, control is the CCP theme, and it makes you wonder if you can ever believe anything they say because all the actions lead back to the party and control. Communism seems the same the world over: a takeover of power from the people to allow the stand-in leader or dictator to stay in control. Putin has done the same thing, as well as the leaders in Venezuela, Maduro, and Cuba, the Castros, as some examples. This is a common theme that would definitely not play well at all in the United States. Thank goodness this is our country. All right, a quick bit of info on the party. The current party has more than 90 million plus members and is one of the largest political parties in the world, with India having the biggest party, followed by China, and then our Democratic and Republican parties, respectively. Xi Jinping took power in 2012 and sits at the top of the CCP organization as the General Secretary and is also President and head of the military, which provides him with a lot of power in enforcing government policy. Xi and other high level officials of the party have slowly consolidated power and are now the center of all that happens in the government. To ensure a continuity of power, the Chinese Communist Party has taken an unprecedented step and amended the policy of a president serving a maximum of 2 5-year terms, similar to our process in America. But the CCP changed this policy in 2018 to allow Xi Jinping to remain in power beyond his 2022 term limits. This is but yet another power grab to consolidate and stay in control by Xi Jinping and other high level officials. Just think how that would go over in our Congress if any party tried to extend a president in office. Not well, I think. To add to the power grab, Xi is putting himself and trusted aides as leaders of core committees making government decisions. This provides significant control and influence on policymaking. The goal of centralizing power is to strengthen Communist Party rule and control of all facets of the government. This chart sums it up. Just look at all the committees that Xi is on or managing. If this was Trump, the Democrats would be crazier than they currently are and would have TDS2, a new variation of the Trump derangement syndrome. But you can see he's taken most of the power and sits on most of the committees. Okay, let's go into a little bit of some of the CCP actions. The party is not all bad and have provided quite a lot to the people through globalization and economic development, which has raised millions of people from poverty, which is a good thing. Additionally, the improvements in China have generated a sense of national pride, just like we have our pride in the United States. So there are positives on some of the accomplishments of the CCP. My concern, though, is with the CCP and their global intentions. As recently as 2013, the CCP outlined 7 threats to the party's control that include Western constitutional democracy, which I think is directed at us, and human rights, which is lacking in China, as well as pro-market media independence, and civic participation. All these threats point to democratic countries as a threat and is most likely aimed directly at us. Ask yourself, why are these items a threat? It seems apparent to me that each of these items in some way have the potential to impact the power of the CCP party, and will do whatever it takes to stay in control and power. Remember that whenever analyzing any actions coming from China, they are after power. So, how does the CCP deal with threats to their power? Well, they do this by silencing dissidents and restricting religion, media, activists, and lawyers. The party is facing some limited pushback on the detention and re education of more than 1 million Muslims, and so far do not seem worried about condemnation from abroad because they consider this as an internal issue, regardless of the human rights violations. The only way the people of China get a hint of what their government is doing is because of the internet, which the CCP controls and blocks and monitors 24 by 7. Luckily, though, there are always opportunities to get the facts from outside the country that bypass firewalls, or internally by using blogs and chat boards. But they don't want to get caught. It would result in devastating actions against them by the CCP, including disappearance and even death with no trail to follow. Now, for some important actions from the CCP that we should be concerned with, but unfortunately doesn't get much news from our biased media. Military growth. Beijing allocated 177 billion for defense spending in 2019. Compared to us, that is a small amount, but our big increase has to do with catching up from neglect from the previous administrations. Beijing's allocation is the second highest in the world, and it shows it is a big priority. Expansionism is evident by investing billions of dollars in countries throughout Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East through what it's called Massive Belt and Road Initiative program. The Belt and Road Initiative is a global ambitious infrastructure project started by Xi in 2013 to expand China's global economic and political influence. China sells this as a goodwill gesture, but I do not personally think they do anything without an end objective. And that objective is not to help the world, but to get a foothold and expand. But is this all goodwill from China? There are concerns from many that this effort by China could be a Trojan horse for regional development and military expansion. China also seems to be taking advantage in filling the void where Washington has not provided what the countries in these areas need. But you can bet there will be a cost. The end result, though, could be a dependence of many smaller countries on China's generosity, which may come into play when China needs a favor sometime in the future. So, another area where China is trying to expand is in the South China Sea, where they are slowly working to control shipping lanes, as well as opposing any efforts by Washington to strengthen our partners in the region, which include Japan and Vietnam, and throw in Taiwan, which has been a contention with the United States for a long time. The efforts of China in the South China Sea are quite clear to anyone interested. China has staked claims to many contested islands in the East and South China Seas, at the objection of Japan and many other neighbors. Recent imagery has proven that Beijing is militarizing these islands, and I would think that would be a big concern for many countries. If you look at this chart, it shows a major part of the world's shipping lanes that China is working to claim. Everyone needs to be aware and stop this expansionism, but somehow it just doesn't seem to be making the news very much. Xi stated in 2017 that the party has to do more to safeguard China's sovereignty, security, and development interests. as well as oppose all attempts to split China or undermine its ethnic unity, social harmony, and stability. Along with that, and the scariest point for me, or for at least democracies around the world, is that Xi has stated that he is looking to remake global order, the rules of the road, in ways that suit China more. Well, that doesn't suit the United States more, so we need to be concerned. So add the bricks and road initiative from the previous slide, and it is becoming very concerning on the actions China has taken to expand its global reach and increase its world domination. We cannot fall asleep at the wheel and need to counter these efforts. Maybe if the Democrats would get off the take down Trump efforts, they would be more aware of what is going on that may have significant consequences to us in the near future. Step up and do your job, Congress. Get involved. Every country has its ups and downs, and China does as well as any other country. There are issues in China, but of course our media chooses not to report on them, so I will provide a quick recap. China has recently been experiencing a slowing economy. In 2018, the Chinese economy grew by 6.6%, but that was the slowest pace since 1990. And I don't see that getting any better anytime soon, especially with everything that's going on in the world at this time. Add in lost manufacturing and future loss of manufacturing as we bring jobs back to the United States, and they will be slowing down even more. Add in Trump's tariffs, and you have a further degradation of their economy. Of course, that could be bad for all of us as well. Who knows at this time? Other issues in China kind of parallel a lot of the same issues that we have here. They have massive debt. They have massive number of aging people, and how they're going to provide for these retirees, which will be 40% of the population by 2050. Think about that. They have billions of people, and the aged will be 40%. Increased cost of insurance coverage is another issue with the population. It was 5% of their GDP in 2016, but is projected to be 9% by 2035. That's almost a double in cost. I think they've got some problems coming on down the road. That is a huge jump in cost, especially taking into consideration the population size in China. This could be a rough road ahead for China. So everything is not as it seems. So pay attention to the news. Where is the news on the 1 million Muslims in detention centers, re-education camps? Where is the news on China's Pacific military build-out of islands? Where is the news on technology theft from our country? Where is the news on China's expansionist activities and the Belt and Roads Initiative? Where's the news on the disappearance or deaths of people that speak out against the CCP? Where's the news on China's efforts to infiltrate our educational systems, starting in preschool all the way through our college universities? Where are you, news media? All this could have major impacts to the United States, and we need to be informed. The media needs to do their job, and at this time, they're doing nothing but attacking Trump. All right, let me summarize this up here and just make a couple of points to close. The Chinese Communist Party maintains power and success by control, and more control, and through any means necessary, including people going missing, being sent to detentions or re-education centers, or an unexplained death. It is horrible to even imagine, but it is going on. The people of China are still fighting, and they go underground to obtain truthful information to provide facts of what is going on. And they do this at their own peril, because if they are caught, the consequences are significant. The worldwide media outlets need to step up and help these individuals so we can all hear the truth. Step up, media, and help these folks. Hopefully someday soon, the people of China will step up and burst the bubble of the Chinese Communist Party. And I personally wish it happens without violence. There's also too much violence in the world already, so we don't need more. That is my summary of the news for you today. Be informed, stay safe. Signing off, Charlie.